Let's do it. Good to have you with us. Wednesday edition of the program. Thank you, Chad Erickson, for the introduction. Our executive producer is Vladimir Louisant. Our producer-engineer in Houston is Brian McDonald. And do we have a lot to talk about over the next 3 hours? This is the beauty of doing a live nightly 3-hour sports show. It's the difference between podcasting and doing a live talk show. And I know a lot of people like to think that podcasting can replace the live talk show. Here's why it can't. And it's why, in particular, when it comes to sports, it can't. Because, 30 minutes before we come on the air, Aaron Judge makes history. Well, guess what? There won't be a podcast on tonight about it. At least not anybody meaningful. Not any huge name. But you know what's there for you? Live sports radio. Doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody. But this is the beauty of having a live sports talk format. It's for nights like this. Aaron Judge, home run number 61 tonight. You'll hear the calls coming up in just a couple of minutes here on the show. We'll also get into, and again, it kind of blew up the way I was going to do the first hour of the show. Hurricane Ian is impacting the sports world. We'll tell you what it might mean for the Chiefs and the Bucks, as Florida has been sunken into darkness with power outages and all sorts of flooding problems. Our thoughts and our prayers are going out to the folks in Florida that are just being ravaged by this catastrophic, once-in-a-generation hurricane. I know we seem to say that too much, but that's climate change. Jimmy G calling out Kyle Shanahan's play calling on the sidelines, or did he? Shireen Williams of NBC Sports Pro Football Talk will join us later in the hour as well. Talk about the Cowboys and some league issues at large. But when we return, Aaron Judge, home run number 61, put it into some perspective. I'm Jason Page. Hang with us. The Cash-In just getting started on Sports Map Radio. You thought I wasn't going to make it. You thought I wasn't going to make it. I heard there's a 5 because you didn't think I was going to make it. Yeah. You thought I wasn't going to make it. It's okay. It's all right. Ye of little faith. Oh, my God. My next round was terrible. I shot 94 the next round. Oh, it was a mess. It was terrible. I need new clubs is that's the reality. Not to blame the equipment, because, it's not the clubs. It's me, but I do need new clubs. Playing with 11-year-old clubs right now. I mean, some of my clubs are newer. I've updated some clubs, but my set of irons is old. And get Vlad on the line. All right. Yep. With one swing of the bat, Aaron Judge changed my whole open tonight.
Yeah, I know. Change everything. I've been trying to get fucking...
Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, look, I know. Listen, I'm not asking you to work miracles, but maybe there's somebody out there. I don't know.
I would hope so, but, I tried calling...
Try Brian Hoke.
I did that. He hasn't answered. He's in Toronto.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The only hope we have, honestly, is good. Well, no, but I mean, even it could be a Yankee writer, but it'll be after they write for Deadline, which will still be on the air, is what I'm thinking.
But I'm out by midnight.
Yeah, no, I get it, but keep trying, see what you can do.
I have.
I know. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just asking.
I'm just saying. I know, but I'm letting you know. I have already. No response. We'll see. We go from there.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anybody. I just moved some things around the lineup to see what we can. Just moved some things around as far as just topics and stuff. But I mean, I've got every segment covered. So
yeah.
All right, stand by. Well, a special night in sports. It's not often you get to come on the air like 30 minutes after somebody does something historic. Yeah, you don't get that opportunity often. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think if it's ever happened to me before. I don't think so. I mean, I've been on the air during some pretty wild, weird stories, like the Ray Rice story happened while I was on the air, broke in the middle of the night while I was on the air. But I don't really know if I've ever been lucky enough to come on the air right after somebody makes history. And tonight that happens to be what has happened. Aaron Judge, New York Yankees center fielder for much of the season, makes history tonight in Toronto. And interestingly, he was in the lineup on the day after the team clinches the American League East Division title. And a lot of times star players will sit. And Aaron Boone went to Aaron Judge and said, "Do you want to play?" And Aaron Judge said, "Yes, I want to play." And you know the record. He could say all he wants. The record doesn't mean anything to him. And I'm not saying the guy is some bold-faced liar. He's trying to say the right things. Of course the record means something to him. To go this far, to get this close, if he didn't get to 61, he would have been devastated. But tonight in Toronto, in a 3-3 game, Aaron Judge got his shot, and he made it count.
And the 3-2. Drilled deep to left field. This could be it. See ya. He's done it. Number 61. He's been chasing history, and now he makes it. He and Roger Maris are tied with 61 home runs, the most anybody has ever hit in a single season in American League history.
Pretty wild. And his teammates were all there to greet him at home plate when he came around the bases. And as I get to thinking about it, you always get into a mode of looking back and trying to put these things in perspective when you talk about them. And by tomorrow night, my perspective may change on it a little bit. But in the 30 minutes leading up to the show, as I got to thinking about this, we talk about unbreakable records and guys that. And we don't know if 61 will be the mark that Judge finishes with, 62, 63, who knows? He's still got, a handful or so of games left. But as you get to thinking about what he's accomplished tonight and what he could still finishing accomplish if he breaks the Maris mark, he's now tied it. And you really do wonder, in a day and age where offense is down, and baseball's going to try and change that starting next year, but in a day and age where offense is down, where strikeouts are, not frowned upon the way they were, where it's, a game that's basically drawn up in an incubator and on a graph with numbers and all sorts of fancy math symbols that I wouldn't be able to recognize because I wasn't a great math student. In that day and age of baseball, is anybody breaking this record? And again, I know it's early to have that conversation, but look at what baseball has been like since 2003 when performance-enhancing drugs and testing for performance-enhancing drugs began. Yeah, you got a number of guys that have hit 50, and Giancarlo got to 59, and you see what kind of hulking individual he is. What it's going to take for somebody to break this mark. I don't think we'll see it in my lifetime, and I don't think that's far-fetched or hyperbolic to say. Again, post-PED era, go and look at the PED era when you get McGuire at 52 and, Sosa and McGuire, the 65 for McGuire, and then the Bonds with 73, and A-Rod with 52 and 57 and 47, and then all of a sudden it drops off. Yeah, Ryan Howard got to 58, which was amazing. Sure, Giancarlo got to 59, Batista got to 54, Chris Davis even got to 53, Judge himself got to 52. Pete Alonso put up a representative number, 53. But to get to this number, and in particular, something else to keep in mind on this. Since August 1st, Judge has had nobody hitting behind him. So he's hit a lot of these home runs in the second half of the season when the Yankee offense has been in the toilet, which makes it all the more amazing. Oh, and by the way, he's still leading the American League in batting average. At least as of the at-bat going into what I think was his final at-bat tonight. He was hitting about 314, so he's still leading the league in average. And basically for the last 7 games, all they did was pitch around him. Go look at how many walks. Go look at the number of pitches out of the strike zone as compared to the 140 games before that he played in, or the 145 games that he played in before that. They were pitching much more carefully and around him because nobody wanted to be that guy on the mound tonight that gave up number 61. And as much as managers could say, we're going to go after him, you still can't control what a pitcher's going to do, and he's going to nibble because he doesn't want to make a mistake out over the plate because that happened. But you really get to thinking about, is somebody going to break this record? I don't think so. And again, nobody's even close to him for number 2. So it's not like you could make the argument, well, they're all hitting a lot of home runs. But what, 40 is the next highest? Which looks pedestrian. It shouldn't, but in this day and age, it looks pedestrian compared to what Judge is doing tonight with number 61. And let's say this too. When Bonds broke the record, there's a lot of people who took umbrage with the way he handled the media. A lot of people were questioning his alleged PED use. He was salty. He wasn't somebody that you probably wanted to be around much when he was trying to break that mark. And when he was trying to break Hank Aaron's all-time home run record. All these different things. But in the case of Judge, could you have a better role model? Could you have a better model of what you want the face of your franchise to look like for the next, 8 years? Even if it does cost you $400 million if you're the Yankees. They cannot screw this up. They have got to do this right for Aaron Judge, and they have to do it right for their fan base. Might they wind up regretting the last 3 years of that contract from 35 or 36 to 38? They might, as a lot of teams have. But what Aaron Judge has meant, not just to the Yankees, but to the regular season of 2022 in Major League Baseball, cannot be understated. Albert Pujols kind of came up by surprise and all of a sudden get you to 700. Aaron Judge has been doing this all year. And remember at the beginning of the year when it was, Yordan Alvarez is right there. What happened to Yordan? How'd that work out? And then it was, Pete Alonso is right there. Not anymore. To go through the grind of the 162-game schedule as a center fielder for a team with the expectations of the Yankees, win a triple crown potentially, and hit 61 or more home runs. Now you're talking about a season for the ages. You're talking about one of the greatest seasons offensively that this game has ever seen. And you got to witness it. Whether you like the Yankees or not. That crowd in Toronto tonight, I don't know, there's about 40,000 people there. They were all on their feet in appreciation for what Judge has done. You heard the Michael Kay call on the Yes Network. Well, John Sterling got to call it on Yankees radio. The longtime voice of the Yankees got one more really good call before he likely hangs it up at the end of the year.
First, and the payoff. There goes the deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 61. He ties Roger Maris for the American League single-season record with 61 home runs. It's a two-run Judgian blast. Here comes the Judge. A two-run blast, and the Yankees take a 5-3 lead on number 61 for Judge.
I mean, as good as it gets. You got one more really good call from John Sterling. He got to be there for number 61. And now the question is, does Judge go bigger? Does it wind up 62, 63, 64? How high can he set the mark? You get the feeling after this one, there could be a couple of more because the pressure leading into this one, you could see it was weighing on him. You got a thought on this? Is this the greatest season that you've seen? Again, people are going to want to look back at Bonds, but there's no denying it was a different era with performance-enhancing drugs being used. Where does this stand in the history of the game? 800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter if you want. At the back page if you've got something you want to add. We'll come back, get to calls, get to tweets, tell you what we got coming up in the rest of the hour as well. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. All right.
Oh, the battery's done.
What was that?
Oh, shit.
What'd you say?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. What's up?
Oh no, I'm asking. How fucked up is your memory? You acting like you weren't there when Kobe scored 60 points in his final game, or the Warriors won his 73rd game.
No, you didn't. You didn't hear what I said. You didn't hear what I said. I said the opportunity to be on the air immediately following those.
You were.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't. Not when Kobe scored the.
60?
You're talking about the last game?
Yes.
The final game?
2016.
I wasn't doing a radio show.
Dude, you were not. When did
No,
you get,
I was off in February. I was off after the Super Bowl in February, dude.
of 2016?
Yeah. I think I know. I remember where I was watching it. So yeah, I remember. I was sitting in my parents' kitchen, matter of fact, because I remember it so well. I was sitting in my parents' kitchen on the floor on their tiny little television that they have in there. Because I didn't have a television of my own because I was just crashing at their place briefly. And I was watching it on the floor, going, oh my God, this is crazy. I mean, I was on the air I'll tell you the one I was on the air after was when Tiger won on one leg. This was before you. This was whatever, 08, 09, whenever Tiger beat Rocco Mediate. I was on the air right after the playoff.
Yeah, but that happened on a Monday. That was a Monday afternoon.
Right, because I was doing afternoon drive.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That was a Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm talking about you're
That
saying
was
after
13 years ago.
But usually, because you've been doing late night, a lot of great shit was happening late night, especially in the West Coast, because that's where most of the popular.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything that memorable that I could think of. I still haven't. Well, hang on, come back. Heck of a night to be a sports fan, no matter what team you're a fan of. Aaron Judge ties the great Roger Maris. I'd say this, too, about Judge. With that home run, he literally just put his plaque. I don't know about plaque. He literally just put his number in Monument Park. And that's, again, not a stretch. With that home run, he's going to be just basically put his number in Monument Park. 99 will never be worn by another Yankee. Yeah, you think about all these different things that kind of come to mind on a night like this. And I was just talking to Vlad, trying to rack my brain. We were talking about, different nights, and he said, well, no, the final game of Kobe. And I was like, no, I wasn't. That was right after. It was about 5 months after I had been let go from, or 4 months after I'd been let go from NBC Sports. I was watching it in my parents' kitchen. The one that I was on the air right after was when Tiger and Rocco Mediate had that playoff in the U.S. Open, and Tiger was playing on one leg. I was actually at the Travelers Championship, which is the event the week after, and we were doing live broadcasts from there. So it's a Monday. There's nobody there. There's like 3 golfers on the range hitting balls, and we're doing a show there. And we're the only people with a TV anywhere at TPC River Highlands. And literally every golf journalist and every, person around, because I don't even think the media center was set up yet, was hanging out by our booth, watching over our shoulders to see Tiger and Rocco Mediate, which was kind of cool. But there's not a lot of moments that I've had the opportunity to be on the air, like right after they broke, that come to mind immediately in the 30 minutes leading up to this show. So it's a pretty special night when you get to kind of try and put it into perspective in 30 minutes or less what Aaron Judge has accomplished tonight. And again, he's still right there for batting average. Yankees, I think, just wrapped up the victory, by the way.
Yankees won 8-3.
Yeah. Yankees win 8-3. Wow, how'd they get 3 more?
They scored in the 9th.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't see it because my back is turned. And anybody
Yeah,
hit a home run or something? What happened?
No.
Also of note tonight on that Judge home run is the fact that it went into it just missed hitting the front row in left field above the Blue Jays bullpen. And I think a guy might have had a shot at it. They put their arm down just below the railing, and I don't know if
It hit his hands.
It did hit his hands? Yeah, see, I couldn't tell.
Hit his hands.
Yeah, that guy's not going to sleep well tonight. And I think it was a Blue Jays fan that was sitting in the front row, and it just went off his hands and fell into the bullpen. So now Judge and the Yankees don't even have to pay anything for the ball. Not that they couldn't, but.
And apparently, the person who got the ball is the father of Fox sideline reporter Sarah Walsh.
It's the husband of the Fox.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the husband of the. It's the bullpen coach for. It's the bullpen coach for the Blue Jays, who's the husband of a Fox News, I think, reporter. I don't know if she's a sports reporter.
Fox Sports reporter.
Okay, that's
sideline reporter.
Yeah, Sarah Walsh, I think.
Sarah Walsh, formerly of ESPN.
Yeah. And she was down in Florida, I guess, in the middle of the hurricane. She's like, well, I'm in the middle of this hurricane, but she goes, at least I know I won't have to ever work again. Because she was joking that her husband could just hang on to the baseball, which, of course, he cannot. That ain't going to happen.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I love Aaron Judge. Obviously, we're Yankee fans. You
Sure.
know. But we've been talking about contracts and people betting on themselves.
Yep.
And you're going crazy about this Triple Crown season.
Yes.
What if he craps the bed in the playoffs? Because that's the same exact rhetoric you were telling me about Lamar.
Here's what I'll say to it. It's a little different. I don't think I don't think it will kill him, because baseball is a guy with 9 guys, and everybody in their lineup kind of gets a shot 3 or 4 times a game to do something special. But I do agree he has to carry this over into the postseason. And if he doesn't, then the Yankees will have to make a decision. But much like Lamar, and I think the point has been fairly made that somebody's going to pay Lamar Jackson, whether it's next year or the year after, if they franchise tag him or whatever. But there's also a difference between the dynamic, and this. There's a difference. There's a difference in the dynamic of being an NFL quarterback, which is arguably the biggest position on the field, and being a guy that's part of a lineup of 9. Again, all guys get a shot in that lineup to hit on a nightly basis.
I love your verbiage. No, there's no difference when you're the best player on the team.
It's still a difference.
No, it's not. When you're the best player on the team and you're the franchise player of your team, all the pressure's on you. Don't tell me that because
there's absolutely a difference.
He's had 5 postseasons.
Vlad.
Wait a minute. Right. Let me finish. I'll let you finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You keep on saying Lamar had 3 opportunities in the postseason. We've had 5 years of Aaron Judge in the postseason.
Okay.
Hasn't really come up big. Hasn't come up big.
Lamar Jackson will hold the football 40 to 50 times in the course of a playoff game. Aaron Judge will go to bat 4 times.
Right.
So there's an enormous difference. There's just an enormous difference in the positions they play and in the sports they play. Fairly or unfairly, that's just the reality of it. Lamar Jackson's going to handle the football out of the number of plays, and we could probably figure it out. Out of the number of plays per game, Lamar Jackson will have the football in his hand, 75% of the time? 80% of the time? Aaron Judge is going to get 4 out of 40 at-bats in a game.
He sets the tone. He's the leadoff hitter. He sets the tone.
But again, if you're coming up with nobody on each inning, if you're coming up and nobody's on base in front of you, again, there is an enormous, and you have to see the difference. There's an enormous difference between the 2 positions.
But I don't understand how you could say that. Okay, he has 4 opportunities and he need others to help him, which is the same thing as a quarterback. Quarterback can't throw the ball and catch the ball himself.
No, but a quarterback has to make decisions.
Right. So if he throws the ball,
completely different.
The ball.
Right, but he's not going to throw 40 passes and have his receivers drop 35 of them.
But Jason, we've seen quarterbacks throw passes. They've thrown over 40, 50
Vlad,
attempts.
They're not getting to where they need to go if the rest of the cast is that bad anyway. Right? Let's be honest. I mean, we can play around this all we want. The Ravens aren't getting anywhere if the supporting cast is as bad as you're making it sound like, which would bail out Lamar Jackson.
I'm saying the defense. I'm saying the defense is not great. The defense that you were penciling as the greatest, it's going to be a great defense. I'm saying the defense is not great. So therefore,
but you were just talking about guys dropping passes as an excuse. So which is it?
So exactly. He also needs, the same way you're saying Aaron Judge will need runners on base in order for him to drive in runs. It's the same way that Lamar Jackson will need his skill position players to make plays once the ball is given to them.
Absolutely.
So they both will need that.
No,
so
but it's still not the same.
But it still focuses on the best player and the franchise player, because when they win, all credit goes to them. When they lose, all blame goes to them. So the fact that both of these men have they bet on themselves in this year, and they putting up great numbers, which means if they get into the postseason after putting up those great numbers, more onus, more pressure will be on, more eyes will be on them. If they don't perform well, you're saying even though you're saying Lamar will definitely get paid by someone, you don't think the money that he's asking or requesting will be given to him. And it's the same thing with Aaron Judge. He bet on himself. and he's putting up Triple Crown numbers. But if he doesn't do anything in the postseason, you can understand if the Yankees start trying to play hardball.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to, though. And like I said, the difference, and we got to wrap this up, but the difference is obvious. I mean, between the two positions. There's just not a comparison to be made. Yes, they're both star players that will have pressure on them. Absolutely. But Lamar Jackson will hold the ball 75% of the time in his games. We're back with more of the Cash In on Sports Map Radio. Oh, I got the interview coming back here. Just realized. Yep, self-contained. I will take it out of the interview.
Hey, you know your boy Barbarisi's
Who?
he wrote books, Daniel Barbarisi.
Oh, yeah, what about him?
Well, I wanted to get in hold of him because he used to cover the Yankees, but
yeah,
seems like he doesn't write for the Yankees.
No.
He does fantasy and betting odds and all of that. He's wrote different type of books.
Yeah, he's in a different. He's sort of in a
different.
Rolling along on this Wednesday night. Glad to have you all with us. Of course, you could all be part of the show. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at me at any point throughout the show at the back page. And tonight's one of those nights. Every Wednesday night, we give something away on this show. All you got to do is be following me on Twitter at the back page. Shoot me a note, say hello, and you're entered to win. Simple as that. We'll give it away at the end of the program. Let's talk some football. And been a while since I talked to Shireen Williams. Does a terrific job. Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, Hall of Fame selector, and certainly one of the people I rolling along. Rolling along on this Wednesday night. Glad to have you all with us. Of course, you could all be part of the show. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at me at any point throughout the show at the back page. And tonight's one of those nights. Every Wednesday night, we give something away on this show. All you got to do is be following me on Twitter at the back page. Shoot me a note, say hello, and you're entered to win. Simple as that. Rolling along on this Wednesday night. Glad to have you all with us. Of course, you could all be part of the show. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at me at any point throughout the show at the Rolling along on this Wednesday night. Glad to have you all with us. Of course, you could all be part of the show. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at me at any point throughout the show at the back page. And tonight's one of those nights. every Wednesday night, we give something away on this show. All you got to do is be following me on Twitter at the back page. Shoot me a note, say hello, and you're entered to win. Simple as that. We'll give it away at the end of the program. Let's talk some football. And it's been a while since I talked to Charean Williams. Does a terrific job, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, Hall of Fame selector, and certainly one of the people I love talking to most when we focus on the game at large. Also does a great job with the Cowboys. Let's start with Dallas, Charean, and then we'll move around a bit. Dak Prescott is obviously still dealing with swelling in his throwing hand. No timeline to start throwing. We talked about it earlier in the show. That means Cooper Rush for at least another week. Here's the question, and I think everybody's probably asking you this. If he keeps winning and Dak keeps sitting, how serious does the talk of a quarterback controversy become?
Yeah, I don't think it's a real one. You know, you put quarterback controversy in air quotes because I think that's exactly what it is. Dak Prescott, when he comes back, when he's ready to play, which will probably be week 5 against the Rams, it's his job. And Cooper Rush knows that. Dak Prescott knows that. The Cowboys know that. You know, despite what Jerry Jones said, and he made a great point that he wants Cooper Rush to play well so the Cowboys win, but then he took it a step further. Wouldn't it be nice to have a quarterback controversy? No, there is no quarterback controversy. This isn't Dak Prescott versus Tony Romo during Dak's rookie season when Dak came in after Tony got hurt in the preseason and lit it up for nearly the entire season. And when Romo came back, Dak obviously kept the job. This isn't like that at all. And Dak Prescott will be the quarterback of the Cowboys. Look, Cowboys still ranked 24th in passing with Cooper Rush back there. And I do realize that they didn't look real good that first week with Dak Prescott in there, but he is the better quarterback, the better thrower. But they've done some really nice things, and you have to give Cooper Rush a lot of credit. He's 3-0 in his career as a starter. Ask him after that Cincinnati game whether he thought he had done enough to prove that he deserves a chance to be a regular NFL starter. And his answer wasn't very good, but I still think it's a legitimate question to ask because I think when you've seen him play the 3 games he started in the preseason, I think he deserves that shot. Now, having said all that, I don't know if he'd be doing what he's doing with the Cowboys if he was with, say, the Bears.
Exactly. That was exactly the team. That was exactly the team I was thinking of. Is he that good if he's with the Bears?
Exactly. He's got to have a running game. He's got to have a defense, and the Cowboys have all that. And what the Cowboys hopefully learned in Dak's absence is they need to lean on that defense and lean on that running game and not try to throw 50 times a game and throw for over 300 yards. That's not what they need to do with where they are, with where their offensive line is, with where their weapons are. They need to run the ball, and they need to play really good defense. So they can do both of those things. And if they do that, to me, they're going to be a contender in the NFC East and in the NFC.
You mentioned the running game, and obviously Pollard's been nice, but is there some concern about Ezekiel Elliott and sort of the plodding along with him at this point, or do they feel like, you know, he's still got a lot more in the tank and he'll get stronger as the season goes along?
Yeah, I don't think he's the same running back that we saw those first 3 seasons when he led the league, 2 of those 3 seasons. The other one, he was suspended for part of the season, 6 games. I don't think he's that same guy anymore. But what he does is he blocks really well. He pass protects great. And that's why they have him in there. And that's why he plays as many or more snaps than Tony Pollard does. But if you're strictly looking at running the football, I do think Tony Pollard is the best running back they have on that roster, but they'll continue to use both of them. And I think even more than what they have so far this season, they need to use both of them at the same time. I think they are 2 of their best offensive weapons, so get them out there on the field at the same time, get the ball in their hands. And they've been a really great combination. I don't know what they'll do after the season. They'll have some big decisions to make because Tony Pollard's scheduled to become a free agent. And Ezekiel Elliott, they're not going to pay him $16 million next year to do what he's been doing these last few years. That's just not worth it. He can take a pay cut and stay, but they may be looking for a whole new running back room after this year. So they'll have some interesting decisions to make after this year. But for this year, they're really set at that position, and they need to use both of them.
Charean Williams, NBC Sports Pro Football Talk, a Hall of Fame selector as well, and I got one on you that I want to throw at you a little later on. I saw CeeDee Lamb today on with my old buddy Kay Adams, saying he feels like people are counting out the Cowboys. And look, maybe it's just somebody looking to motivate himself. I don't think anyone's counting them out at 2-1 necessarily because of missing pieces. He's saying, they're counting them out, in my mind, based on the fact that the team commits a ton of penalties. They drop balls, and they looked bad in game one, and they've got Cooper Rush at quarterback. Is this, I don't think people are necessarily counting them out right now. Do you?
I don't think you count anybody out 3 games into the season. I'm not counting the Raiders out, who are the only 0-3 team. I picked them to win that division. I'm not counting them out of doing that. I still think they can be a good team. I just don't think you count anybody out. And your points are valid. I mean, they look so bad in that first game, even with Dak Prescott at quarterback. And then you throw in the problems that they had in the offensive line, Tyron Smith being gone. But I think they fixed some of that, and I think they found something with Jason Peters at left guard. I think that's been a huge help. That defense is really, really good. So I don't know how you count them out when you can play really good defense and you can run the ball as well as they have run the ball. I just don't think you count anybody out. And I don't think anybody's counting them out. Nobody ever counts out. If anything, they go the other way on the Cowboys. Oh, they're going to be great this year. Every year they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the NFC Championship game. And we've been waiting for that since 1995. So it usually goes the other way with the Cowboys. I rarely see people count the Cowboys out unless it's Giants, Commanders, or Eagles fans.
You talk about the first 3 weeks of the season, and we hear all this talk about parity. That's the big story after week 3, which I don't know how you come to the conclusion of parity after just 3 weeks, because not all records are created equal. The Bears at 2-1 is not the same as the Packers or Bears at 2-1. So I laugh that idea off. But is this what the league wants? Because every league always says, we want parity. We want as many teams in the mix as possible. But when you look at the TV ratings and the teams we see on in prime time and who the league would kind of like to wrap its arms around as far as, the teams that are going to garner the most publicity and sort of get people riled up, does the league really mean it when it says it wants parity?
I think they want as many teams there as long as possible so people are intrigued in every market up until week 18 of the season. But it's a great point, because the better the Cowboys do, for instance, who we know draw the highest ratings. I mean, love them or hate them, they draw the highest ratings year in and year out. Just go back in history and look. It's a simple fact. So the better that teams like that are that draw those high ratings, and those teams with the great quarterbacks, the Packers and the Chiefs and all that people want to see the quarterbacks play, I think the better it is for the league. So it's kind of a mixed answer there, because I think they do want everybody in the race up until week 18, because then every market's like, all right, are we going to get in the playoffs? Are we going to win this? If we win this game, we're in the playoffs. If we don't, we're not. So we're watching week 17 and week 18. We're not checking out. They're not teams tanking at the end of the year. Not as many teams anyway tanking at the end of the year. So there's all of that, I think. But I do think the league is better off when teams like the Cowboys, those popular teams, are better, because then they play the primetime games. Then they get the higher ratings, because love them or hate them, people are going to watch.
Talking with Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk, here on the Cash In Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app. Do you take the Jags seriously right now based on what you've seen through 3 weeks? I mean, we've seen all the scoring and the change at head coach, obviously, and what it's meant for the development of Trevor Lawrence, and obviously some of the pieces they brought in during the offseason. It seems to be meshing really well.
Yeah, it really does, and I do take them seriously, because I think it tells you how much coaching matters. And so when you look at some of these teams in the offseason who are going to be looking for coaches, and you think about Sean Payton and giving up draft picks and giving up to $20 million a year for Sean Payton, you might think about that. You might think about doing that, because coaching does matter. And I think we've seen that with Doug Peterson. And just, when you get that good coach in there, you see the talent that they have, and they're starting to put it together, and they're starting to believe, and confidence is a real thing. And I think you're starting to see that with the Jaguars. But, you just look at what they've done offensively and defensively and where they rank. they've been good on both sides of the ball. And you're right, some of those guys they brought in the offseason have been really, really good and helped them out. A lot of people thought, I'm an Aggie. I watched Kristen Kirk his entire college career. I thought the guy could be a number one receiver, but a lot of people thought he's a slot guy only. And so that's what the Cardinals played him as. And, of course, he wasn't their number one receiver with the Cardinals. And people thought Jaguars were crazy to give him what they gave him. He's not a number one receiver. Well, guess what? He's showing he's a number one receiver. He's good enough to do that. So they made some really good off-season decisions in free agency and the draft, and those guys have really helped. And so I am buying them. I do think they're the best team in that division. I picked the Colts. I thought the Colts are going to be really good this year. Matt Ryan looks like he's done. He has not played well. Picking it now after 3 weeks, I think the Jaguars are the team to beat in that division. Not a very good division, but they're the team to beat in that division.
Yeah, and that's still great for that organization considering where it's been over the last decade. You've undoubtedly seen the stories in the news on Brett Favre and the welfare money he essentially took from the state of Mississippi. And you've been around a long time, and I say that in a glowing way. I know some people have been barking about this idea of removing him from the Hall of Fame. First of all, there's no such mechanism that exists for that to happen. But as somebody who's a selector, should there be a mechanism in place to remove people from the Hall of Fame?
I don't know if that's really my place to say whether it is or isn't. I mean, O.J. Simpson's still in the Hall of Fame, and I think that would be something for the Hall of Fame board to act upon if they want to go so move that way. I don't know that it's my decision or I should even have an opinion on that. What we do is we vote for guys for what they did on the field, and that right now that's the criteria. It has to be. Baseball is different. Baseball has a citizenship criteria. We don't. It is simply what did they do on the football field? Were they good enough on the football field to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And if they were, then it's a yes, you put them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And from there, I think it's up to the Pro Football Hall of Fame board. Jerry Jones and others are on that board to make those decisions about whether there should be a mechanism. As you said, there's not, but to have a mechanism to remove people if they feel like that. But I don't see that ever happening simply because there is no citizenship clause right now in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think there ever will be. It isn't like baseball, which does have one. So I guess a long-winded answer to say I don't think that's ever going to change. I think O.J. Simpson and Brett Favre will be in there forever.
Excellent answer, Shireen Williams. Boy, I tell you, that if you decide to ever run for office, you know how to answer a question because that's not an easy one. Baby. Shireen Williams, Pro Football Talk. It's been a pleasure. I haven't talked to you in about 6 years, and I'm glad we got to do it, and hopefully we get to do it down the line. Thank you as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
She's awesome. She really is, and she is a true professional in every sense of the word. And even when I tried to grill her on some things, she knew what to say. Let's wrap up this hour of the Cash In next on Sports Map Radio. I still have no clue why that didn't play. No clue. That was the weirdest thing. Because normally I just play them right on this end, and I've never had an issue with it, and I'm still looking at it right now. Huh? No, what I did was, luckily, rather than panicking and turning to Jell-O, I said, because normally I play it through a video program that the show streams through, which is why I play them on this end. What happened was, Oh, that was you. Never mind. I just sent you a text. All right, getting set to put the wraps on hour number 1. Talked about Aaron Judge putting in perspective his 61 home run season. Talked about the Chiefs and Bucks. Actually, we didn't get to the Chiefs and Bucks. We can move that to the next hour. Talked with Shireen Williams, Hall of Fame selector with Pro Football Talk at NBCSports.com as well, and got her thoughts. And next hour we're going to do a fun exercise. Who would you remove from the Hall of Fame if you could? And I'm talking based on character, not on revisionist history on their statistics or anything like that. Who would you pull out of the Hall of Fame if you had a chance to do it over? I've got some names. We'll do that coming up at 8:40 p.m. Pacific. Who would I pull from their respective Hall of Fames? And for anybody who's going to say, well, what about hockey? I couldn't tell you because I wouldn't know 90% of the people that are in the Hockey Hall of Fame anyway. Sorry. Just saying. So we'll do that in the next hour of the program. We'll also weigh in on I do want to get to Kyle Shanahan, too. I want to talk about Kyle Shanahan and his relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo, which some people are questioning yet again. We'll talk about that. Also, more money and play on a sucky team or playing for a winner. It's interesting what matters to some players. And yeah, I do think it's an indictment on a professional athlete that takes the money over playing for a good team. We'll come back and talk about it. I'm Jason Page. Hour number 2 of the Cash-In right around the corner on Sports Map Radio. Okay. So much static on this line tonight. Is it that line? No, it's that line. Interesting.
Yo.
Young girls be like,
Come back. Good to be with you. Second hour of the cash-in. If you're just tuning in, boy, did you miss a lot. But that's why we're here. We'll give you a little small recap. Big night for Aaron Judge, home run number 61. That is obviously the top of the fold story tonight. As far as the sports world is concerned, Judge, a 7-game homerless drought. I was cracking up watching Sports Center before the game because they're like, what a homer. Wow, this Aaron Judge drought. I was like, most Major League Baseball players would kill for the drought that Aaron Judge had over the last 7 games. When his OPS and his on-base percentage is still like 600.
Yeah, but they're not doing live look-ins just to free his OPS.
No, they're not. They're not doing live look-ins so they can see a manager hold up 4 fingers.
Exactly. They're not cutting into their college football schedule.
That's true.
Live
Well,
look-in
last night, I didn't know this until tonight. Aaron Judge walked 4 times last night. The rest of the Yankees.
You didn't know that?
No, I knew he walked 4 times. The rest of the Yankees walked 0 times last night.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear this crap about, wow, that teams aren't pitching around him. No, they're pitching around him. I mean, he's got they were definitely pitching around him.
I don't think for all the 4 walks they were pitching around him.
65. I think they showed the number tonight on ESPN before the game. The 50 prior to the last 7 games, it was something like 53% or 54% of the pitches to him were out of the strike zone, and during this stretch, it was like 66% or 67%. I mean, teams were Look, I get it. Nobody wants to be the one that's in that shot that guy had tonight, or the guy from the Pirates had when it was 60. Nobody wants to be that person. But you know what? Kudos to the pitcher tonight. He challenged him on a 3-2 pitch. Judge made him pay. What are you going to say? We're coming back. Another hour right around the corner. Well, we're kind of in the middle of the hour already. But anyway, we'll get into it. Stick around. I'm Jason Page. Much more to do. The cash in on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. Cashing in is what we're talking about next.
Woo. Well, luckily the rain is over, but it seems like there has been some little damage to the house.
To your house?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. The roof wasn't that great already, so I think the water started. Yeah, because now I see the wall.
Yeah.
To the kitchen.
Bubbling up?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks.
So, but here's the problem. I'm off thing, right?
No, hold on. Everybody knew the Rangers were going to stink this year, including Marcus Semien. And now you've got a chance as a guy who can hit, learn to play a little bit of second base. Not great, but good enough, serviceable, that you would go to a team like the Texas Rangers and go back to a situation where you have no chance of winning. In your prime years, you're 32. You don't got too many prime years in this game. But you make the decision, and I'm not picking on Marcus Semien. It's a larger conversation about athletes, because we could go to all sorts of sports where guys go to losing organizations because that's who can offer them the fattest paycheck. But Marcus Semien does it, and I'm sitting there wondering, is Marcus Semien happy? I mean, is Marcus Semien pleased with his decision? And then I sit there and think to myself, is it fair to cast an indictment on a player that does that sort of thing? And again, you can look around sports. We see it all the time. Guys who go for the money rather than playing for a winner. And Marcus Semien opted for the money rather than playing for a winner. Because I'm sure the Blue Jays offered him something. Maybe they offered him $15 million. And maybe they offered him 1 year less. But the reality is, when you're talking about that kind of life-changing money anyway, and you're Marcus Semien, plus you made what you made last year for the Blue Jays, which was probably a pretty good penny coming off the time in Oakland with the A's, where he probably didn't make that much money. Is it fair to kind of cast aspersions on athletes that do that and say, are you playing for the love of the game, or are you playing for the love of the money? Maybe to some guys, winning just doesn't matter. Maybe for Marcus Semien, he still enjoys playing the game, whether the team's winning 65 games this season or 100 or 70 games this season or 95 games like the Blue Jays will or 90 games like the Blue Jays will. And I don't know. I don't have an answer to this. Let's just say I'm asking the question because we see it a lot in sports. We see it a lot. We see it often in sports. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum, by the way, where there are some guys who leave bad situations and strictly go ring hunting and will go and play anywhere they can possibly win a ring and take less money. And a lot of times we'll knock those guys. And I'm just sitting here thinking about it. We killed Kevin Durant. Can't beat him, join him. We killed Kevin Durant when he left and went and joined a team that consistently whooped his you-know-what when he was playing elsewhere. And instead, he went and joined the winner, won his rings, and then bolts. And tries to win more rings somewhere else. And I usually am the first guy to bash a guy that does what Kevin Durant did. But now as I'm sitting here thinking about it tonight, you know what? I'd rather have the Kevin Durant guy than the Marcus Semien who says, I'd rather go play for a loser and just make the money. I don't know. What do you think? 800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show as well at the back page. You get what I'm saying, right, Vlad?
Yeah, you could be like Kevin Durant. Still get the money in the rings. Yeah, absolutely. But he could have gotten, but remember, if you stay with your own team, they can pay you more, yada, yada, yada. But that's the thing, man.
I mean, it's stupid money for him no matter what. He's going to make a lot.
He's going to make the money regardless. That extra year, that's great. But these guys know how to, the way they change these contracts, they make the money back immediately. So they sign like 2-year deals, or they'll sign a 1-year deal knowing that the TV contract might be extended. You know what I'm saying? So there'll be more money going to the teams.
Yes.
So I see why the NBA players do it. Now, Marcus Semien, if they give you that type of money in baseball, you're gonna take it. Not gonna buy you out in baseball.
I just wonder how much the Blue Jays offered. I wonder if and again, it's not an indictment. I'm not just picking on Marcus Semien. He's just the poster boy for this particular instance that I'm talking about. They did try to bring him back. I do know that. I don't know what the terms of the deal were, but they did try. They did try to get him to return to the team. I don't know what the actual offer was, but obviously it wasn't enough for him to go. But again, you go play for Texas,
or do you go into the Mets?
No, he went to Texas.
Okay, now think about it, bro. Let's be real. Do you want to pay money in Canada, or do you want to live in a free state, a state that doesn't have any tax?
Any state income tax? I'm sure there is something to be said. But again, then we're saying Marcus Semion's playing for the money.
Okay.
Right? And again, is it an indictment on somebody to go and play for the money rather than wanting to play for a winner? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it fair to judge? Is it fair? And look, we all judge. So for anybody who says, well, who are you to judge? We all judge. Is it fair to judge somebody's character by saying, well, why wouldn't you want to play on a winner? Isn't winning matter to you? Because if I'm looking at him going forward, maybe that doesn't matter at 32. You know, who knows how many more deals he has left. I mean, they signed him to, I think, a 7-year. I think he got a 7-year deal in Texas. I mean, that's crazy. He got a 7-year deal with the Rangers. Wow. I mean, again, I don't know if I don't think the Blue Jays were offering him that. He got 7 years, $175 million from the Rangers. $25 million a year for Marcus Semien.
Yeah, you're gonna take that, Jason. Please.
But let's just say that let's just throw a number out there and say the Blue Jays but let's just say the Blue Jays offered him $100 for 4. I'm
not taking it. I'd rather take the 5 and 125.
You'd rather not win.
No, I'm not. It's not about win. Here's the funny thing, okay? And it's good because we could say 20/20 hindsight. But Texas was spending money to try to win. So if I'm Marcus Semien, I'm hearing all these moves that Texas are trying to make, and they want me to be the centerpiece of it, I'm going to do that.
Can you name a single starter in the Rangers rotation?
No. But that's in last
This
place.
is what they're trying to do to win. They got John Gray. They got Glenn Otto.
Dude, that was okay.
I mean, come on. They're not trying to win.
You know
now look,
happen?
maybe 2 or 3 years from now they are, but at 36, what's Marcus Semien going to be?
So so when is he going to get another chance to get that type of money? And you're acting like Toronto's giving him. Toronto's not giving that type of money. That's never been their MO. Ask Jose Bautista.
I don't think the Rangers would have offered him $25 a year for 7 years if there wasn't an offer out there that was in that ballpark. And that's why I went way down. I said 20 a year. Let's say $80 million for 4 years. I mean, that's still, you can't make it work on that and play for a winner. I don't know. Like I said, I just think it's interesting to analyze.
Okay, you know what, Jason? It's great to say that, but what about in 30 years when you might not be financially good? You're going to be thinking about, maybe I should have taken that extra year for that $25 million.
If you can't make it work on $80 million, you got some problems.
Don't laugh. Be patient.
I could definitely laugh.
You can't talk. You can't laugh because you know a lot of athletes can't. And with your habit, don't say $80 million can go immediately.
Again, if it does go, you have nobody to blame but yourself.
All right, then. But that's what I'm saying. So that's why you'll think to yourself, hey, maybe that extra year would have been good. Maybe that extra 25
I couldn't
million.
make it on 80. My God. Stick around. We're coming back. I got some NFL items to get to. We'll do it as we continue on the Cash In at Sports Map Radio. All right. I gotta go feed my dog. He's not feed him. I have to give him water. He's having a conniption behind me right now. I'm gonna get arrested for animal cruelty here. All right, I'm coming. I know you want water. I'm coming. Calm down. Oh my God, I feel like the worst dog parent in the history of man. That whole segment, my dog was just sitting there going, ah, ah.
Gotta feed the dog.
I fed him. I didn't give him water. So he was sitting there knocking his bowl around, tipping it over. It's empty, like just standing by his bowl crying, and I'm doing the whole segment going, oh my God, this poor dog. Like I almost got up mid-segment and was just like, Vlad, talk. Poor thing. We got to play some Coolio tonight at some point, by the way. Welcome back to a Wednesday night edition of the show. We're halfway home. Let's go. Oh, boy. 800-224-2004. 800-224-2004 on Twitter at the back page if you wish to opine there. I like I said, I'm curious if I just think the whole thing with guys, and look, it's easy to tell people how to spend their own money. I get all that, or how they should live their lives and look at it from afar. But I just wonder again. I have no way of knowing if you're Marcus Semien, in May. You know that you have no chance to play in the postseason. That you're just sort of playing out the string, so to speak. But hey, you got $25 million this year, and you got $150 million more coming to you until you're 39. Boy, not for nothing. I mean, getting into baseball contracts and Aaron Judge and what he's going to potentially get, $40 million a year for 7 years, 8 years, whatever it's going to wind up being, however it's all going to play out. But just thinking about that, and everybody talks about, well, what's that contract going to look like the last 3 years? What's that deal going to look like the last 3 years for the Yankees with Aaron Judge? Is he going to perform to that $400 million deal? You know what? If I'm the Yankees and he plays great for 5 years and I win another World Series or two, then the deal pays for itself. But it's asking a lot to give a 30-year-old 8 year. Like I said, I mean, it's Albert Pujols with it does feel very reminiscent of Albert Pujols with going to the Angels. But there's something to be said about this, and I'm sorry, I am going to get to the NFL, but this is something I was thinking about. Albert Pujols and the Cardinals, if you gave them both truth serum, they'd both tell you they probably regret not figuring out a way to keep him in a Cardinals uniform when his time came and he became a free agent.
Did St. Louis win a title after?
But I'm just saying for the consistency and continuity of the franchise, and that's a storied franchise that's had, the Stan Musials of the world and things like that. You want to keep those guys. Those are the players that are legacy builders for franchises, and Albert Pujols should have spent his entire career in a Cardinals uniform. And I think they know that, and I think in retrospect he knows that. Because it didn't go well for him in the American League. I mean, he had a couple of decent seasons, but all in all, if he had those years in St. Louis, they would have been far more forgiving than they were for him in Anaheim with the Angels, given the expectations thrust upon him being part of that team.
Also, there are a lot of, like you said, 2020 is hindsight, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, therefore, it's great. But if St. Louis knew that the National League would adopt the DH rule, I bet like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, I bet you they would have. Because if you notice, Albert didn't play much first base in LA. He was doing a lot of DHing.
Yes.
So, therefore, not only was his bat slowing down, but his defense was not the same anymore. And he was a great
He was
defensive
actually,
player.
and he was a very underrated first baseman defensively. He was a really good first baseman defensively. He doesn't get enough credit for that. But I think if both sides had it to do over, they got a do-over on it. I think they both would have figured out a way.
No, because it would have been. I think it still would have stayed the same.
Oh, I mean, there's no. Look, I'm not trying to say who would have, what his statistics would have been or anything like that. I'm just saying in terms of for placement in the game, history of the game, history of the franchise, and look, Aaron Judge, and this Aaron, it's very reminiscent of the Pujols situation in that you're getting Aaron Judge, who's at the peak of his career right now. It ain't going to get any better than this year. Let's be honest. He's getting paid retroactively. He's getting paid retroactively. He's not, look, he might hit. He's proven he can hit for average, and that's fine.
And he could hit more home runs. Like you can't say he can have a. Nobody thought anything could have been better than his rookie
He
year.
ain't going to hit more in San Francisco. That ballpark is not a hitter-friendly
If he
ballpark.
wants to go back home, but he can go other places.
Yeah, he could, but I will tell you, the betting man, if they were betting, if it isn't the Yankees, it's going to be San Francisco.
Oh, right off his glove.
Are you still looking at the kid with the home run?
Not the kid, the man.
Oh, it was a man? It was a grown man?
It's a grown man with glasses. He looked like Steve Bartman's older brother.
We're talking about the home run judge it tonight because it was a liner. It was hit hard.
Oh.
It was hit hard. That's not an easy catch to make, sitting in the seats in
Look
the
at
front
him.
row.
Oh, my God. He wants to murk himself.
Well, he didn't catch the ball, and it fell into the bullpen, and so we'll see if 62 winds up being a different story. Because even at Yankee Stadium, you have the right field bullpen, you have the right field bullpen, and you have the left field bullpen.
Yeah, by the way he hits those bombs in Yankee Stadium, and mind you, it's Yankee Stadium, so a regular pop-up could be in the left field seats.
Well, no,
or
the right
seats.
field seats, not left field. Left field's a legit home run. Left
What
field's
is
a
it,
legit home
318?
run. No.
What's
Not-
left field? What's the measurements for left field?
Left field line at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, it's not that big. It's like
Yankee
318, 322.
Stadium.
It's not that.
Well, most of them down the immediate line are smaller, but left center to Yankee Stadium is one of the longest in baseball.
I didn't say left center. I said left field
Right.
and right field.
Well, you didn't say the left field line dimensions.
If I say left field, I meant left field. If I meant left center, I
well,
would've
you got to
said
be
left center.
specific what part of
No,
left field.
I am specific because I said left field.
It's 318 down the line, 399 to left center, 408 to center, 385 to right center,
I know what's the right field.
314 down the
So
right field
4
line.
feet. So you're talking about 4 feet? You're telling me the difference between 4 feet between left field and right field? So you're telling me that
Down
man can
the
hit a simple-
extreme line, but then it juts out.
the man can hit a simple fly ball out of that stadium.
Oh,
Either
that's not
direction.
given enough credit. That's not
Either
given enough
direction.
credit. And not for nothing, if you go and look at his home runs, he doesn't hit balls down the left field line. He hits them in the left field seats, but he doesn't hit them down the left field line. Go look at his spray chart. He doesn't have any home runs there.
So every home
What
run
I'm
that
trying
he
to
hits
say is
the
he
same?
doesn't
It's
hit them
exact
down the
same?
left field line. Does he get it? Does he get a couple of cheapies in right? That you can make the argument. You
He
cannot.
can get-
You
all I'm
cannot
saying,
make
he
the
can
argument
get a
down the
cheapie
left
in
field line because he
can get a
doesn't hit.
cheapie in left.
But he doesn't.
I've seen.
He's
we've all
not a
seen
dead.
cheapies
He's
down
not
the
a
left.
dead pull hitter like that. That's not how he hits the ball. Like I said, you go look at his home run spray chart during the break. He hasn't hit him.
I
there.
don't have to look at his home run spray
No, you
chart
do if
because
you
all
say
he-
he's
No,
going to
you
hit a
don't.
cheapie down the left field line. You
I
do.
said he can hit a cheapie. I didn't say he's gonna. hit
Great.
a
I
cheapie.
can
said
also
can.
be the host of Sports Center tomorrow. It's not going to happen, but it could.
Well, get a better agent.
No, I don't need an agent. I'm like Lamar Jackson. I rep myself, baby. The phone number is 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Twitter, at The Back Page, if you want to find me there on Twitter, at The Back Page. All right. I have to get to the Chiefs and the Bucks. Game could be moved to Minneapolis. Jimmy G calling out Kyle Shanahan's play calling on the sidelines, or did he? Oh, bring in the professional lip readers. Who would I remove from the various halls of fame? I want to talk about that too. Lots more to do on the Cash In on Sports Map Radio.
So Baltimore won, right?
Orioles, I didn't even look at the scoreboard tonight. Baltimore lost.
That's it.
Yeah, they're pretty much dead in the water. They lost 3-1 to Boston. They are 5 back of Seattle and 5 back of Tampa Bay. Schedule. Who do the Yankees play? Yankees are off tomorrow.
I'll try to get a baseball person or a Yankee rider tomorrow.
Yankees off tomorrow.
Definitely got to get a baseball guy because we got to talk Mets Braves. That's the most important series this weekend.
Yeah. It's really the only series that matters. Well, no, Milwaukee's still alive.
What, in the NL?
Yeah, Milwaukee's only 1 out on the wild card behind Philly. Half a game back. They're 1 back on the loss side because Philly's lost 7 of 10 in the tank. And plus 235. Let me see wild card here. What do the Orioles play? Orioles play at the Yankees this weekend. Judge has the day off tomorrow, so I doubt he'll take Friday off.
He's DHing.
Who do the Orioles play after that? Orioles finish with... Orioles finish at home with the Blue Jays. So, I mean, theoretically, if they're within 3 of the Blue Jays going into that final series, unlikely, but it's about the only hope they got. All right, come back. $20 minutes till the top of the hour. I am Jason Page. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the Cash In. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show if you feel so inclined. At the Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at the Back Page. There's talk about the Chiefs and Bucks moving to Minneapolis if needed. And just as I was saying that, one of my best friends who lives in Fort Myers, Florida, which is literally just a mile or two southeast of where Hurricane Ian came ashore, he just sent me a picture of his parking lot. He works at a hospital very nearby where his home is in Fort Myers, and he just sent me a picture of his parking lot. Wow, it's crazy. There are just a bunch of cars underwater. Like, that's how bad the storm surge was. And he's a bit inland. He said he had minor damage to the house, but everybody is healthy and alive, thankfully. And that's obviously the most important thing. You can replace a house. You can replace your belongings. You cannot replace your life. Hopefully people knew to get to higher ground. And that's going to be the next question is what follows the destruction there. But as it relates to sports, and that is what we do. We host a sports talk show, and so we obviously have to get into it a little bit. It is interesting that the NFL has selected U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis as the emergency site, the contingency plan for Sunday night's game between the Chiefs and Buccaneers. As of now, the game is still scheduled for Raymond James Stadium. But I don't know if any thought was given to somewhere else. So the reason Minnesota's available is because the Vikings are playing in London to play the Saints. But Vlad brought up a good point earlier. As far as we know, nothing's in Miami. So why wouldn't you just play the game in Miami rather than rerouting everybody to Minneapolis?
There's another reason why I'm upset that they're moving it to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Because, Vlad just hit the Midwest just not too long ago.
Uh-huh.
And I was in Lake Okoboji, Iowa.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'm saying it right. It's Okeechobee? I think it's Okeechobee.
I think they'll get over it if you're wrong. Go ahead.
They'll get it right. I was in Iowa. Anyway, There was a place in that place. They, you ever see those things that give you the directions, like where the cities are and everything like that?
Yeah.
Like it'll tell you, like, oh, it's 100 miles. You're 100 miles away from like Lincoln or like that.
Yes.
Where in Iowa, the football teams in Iowa are the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
So if the game is in Minnesota, there'll probably be more Kansas City fans going to Minnesota for a road game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, for a road game for the Chiefs when it's supposed to be a home game for the Buccaneers. If you did it in Florida, kept it in Florida, you probably have a better chance of more Buccaneer fans coming down south to Miami to get away from all the craziness that's going on in that area and enjoy the game and have the Buccaneers feel like they have a home game.
I'm trying to find some sort of explanation as to why they chose Minneapolis. I don't understand why. Others chose to drive to destination. The NFL rescheduled the game to a bye date shared by the Bucs and Dolphins. I can't find anything that states why Minneapolis was chosen. And I should have asked Shireen when we had her on, but I had so many different topics written down that I wanted to get to her.
I mean, it's not official yet. I mean, they're still trying to play hope for that, but it's only windy right now in Miami. The rain has stopped in South Florida. You're not going to do it in Jacksonville, right?
No, because Jacksonville is actually going to get blasted by this
tomorrow
thing.
And Friday.
Tomorrow and Friday. I think the conventional wisdom is while the storm is moving slowly, it should be clear enough of Tampa by the time we get to Thursday, Friday, that they should be able to play the game on Sunday, especially Sunday night. That they'll have some time to dry out. But
how about this then?
I mean, quite honestly, I'm just looking at a radar right now while we're doing this live, and they're going to be able to play this game in Tampa on Sunday. I mean, this is going to wind up being.
I believe so. It just depends on how what type of the damage the stadium will probably be playable. The question will be, will there be facilities like hotels? Will that be available for the players?
Right. Are they going to have, or other
staff?
Yeah. Are they going to need it for people who are without housing and things like that?
I can understand. Maybe that's why you want to move. But if you're going to move, I don't think you should move out of the state of Florida, especially when there's other parts in the state that have football facilities, football access. And come on, Blaine. Come on, NFL. You're in Miami every 4 years for the Super Bowl because you love the city and you love the field. So you can move a Sunday night game there. That doesn't affect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like I said, I'm with you. I don't understand why Miami wasn't an option. But
because to me, my thing is, why would you? Well, if Miami was the first place for Tampa to move to, For practice.
For practice, yeah.
Why can't they use the stadium? You're not using
And
the
it's
stadium.
their home game. I mean, keep them in the state. I mean, there's just so many ways that.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Jason. Miami's not playing at home for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing tomorrow. Well, now we're in Thursday, and we're gonna be Thursday tomorrow. So they're playing Cincinnati tomorrow, and then the following week is the Jets in week 5. So they're not using Hard Rock Stadium for the next 2 weeks.
Upcoming events, Hard Rock Stadium.
There's nothing happening this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I was just checking to make sure of. If there was anything going on.
There's no college football game. There's nothing.
There's no concerts.
Nope.
Nothing like
And if
that.
there was, they would have been canceled. There was a concert that's supposed to happen at the Hard Rock Casino, Maxwell, and that was moved to Sunday, October 2nd.
Maxwell. Who's Maxwell?
Oh, Jesus, forget it.
No, really. Who is Maxwell?
He's an R&B singer. He's
Okay.
one of the greatest singers of all time. You'll never be invited to the barbecue.
Maxwell. Okay. I have no idea. No idea. Give me a song. Give me one.
A session?
No. Okay. Then we've got no shot here.
You don't know about session. Horrible.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Woman's work? What about a woman's work?
A woman's work? No.
Woman's worth.
A woman's worth. That song?
No, stop.
What? I know there was a song.
Just go to Jimmy G. Go to Jimmy G.
I'm just
go
saying.
to Jimmy G. You're not invited to the barbecue. That's all.
I'm devastated. Jimmy G calls out Kyle Shanahan's play calling on the sideline, or does he? So there's all this fancy lip reading that's been going on over the last 24 hours or so, because people think they caught Jimmy Garoppolo on a camera during Sunday Night Football saying to Kyle Shanahan, mouthing the words, "All your plays suck, man," during a tense moment in the loss to Denver. You see Garoppolo coming off the field and saying, "All your plays suck," or so you think. That's what it looked like he said. Now some people are looking at it and saying, no, he wasn't saying that. He was saying, draw plays suck. This is actually happening. This is what we have to talk about during week 3, between week 3 and week 4 of the NFL season. Was Kyle Shanahan getting called out by Jimmy Garoppolo for some of the play calling in that game? Nobody seems to know. But everybody's trying to, do some lip reading. And Garoppolo was 18 of 29 in the game, 211 yards, touchdown and an interception. Was he calling out his head coach? I don't know.
As a master lip reader,
Yeah.
and that's a pause too, because it's not like I'm trying to look at people's mouth to read what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm good at it. He definitely said your plays suck.
See, I couldn't tell if he was saying draw play suck, and I'd have to see what the play was before it.
Jason, try to say draw plays suck, and then try to say all your plays suck. Do you understand? Draw plays suck is very short and succinct. Like it's right there. And all of your plays suck. There's 2 extra words. You know what I'm saying? All of your plays suck. Draw plays suck.
I'm looking at. Hold on
That's
here.
3 words.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at it right now on the replay of it. See, I don't know. I'm seeing draw play suck, man. I mean, which either way it means he wasn't very happy with the play calling, even if we're talking about that.
Look. I know what I'm trying to do. I already think there's beef between the quarterback and the coaching.
Well, he already came out and basically said, "Hey, I've got, I need more. I'm getting more freedom this time," which is basically insinuating he didn't have freedom before when it came to play calling and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's already kind of called out the head coach of the team. Jimmy, look, if you're Jimmy G in this situation, the team didn't want you to be the starting quarterback this year. They brought you back as an insurance policy. Now they need you. He pretty much probably feels he can do whatever he wants anyway and say what he wants anyway and behave however he wants because he knows it's a marriage of convenience and it's over after this year anyway. I mean, there's something to be said for In his mind, if he's already checked out of the relationship, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean he's trying to win games or anything like that, but I'm saying from a relationship standpoint with that organization, everybody's like, well, John Lynch has to get him into the office and they've got to, hash it out to make sure he's on the same page. There isn't any way you can repair what's likely broken between these two sides. They made it clear they don't want you. And you were just there as a backup in case the worst case happened. You were the break glass guy, okay? Break glass in case of emergency, you're Jimmy Garoppolo. But if you're breaking glass and it's an emergency, it's not a good situation anyway for either side. So the reality is they don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't want them. The two sides are using each other for this year. I think it's going to be messy. When they win, it'll be quiet for a week. When they lose, somebody's going to be complaining. That's essentially what you're going to have between these two sides for the next 13 weeks. There was no out cue. Do it.
What's going on?
There was there might have been a pregnant pause. There was no silence. You
What
threw
happened?
it a break? Oh my God. Oy vey.
The power might have went out.
Oh man. Oh, that segment's not going in the podcast. Because it was obviously a mess. Well, that's live radio. Then something must have went down somewhere. There was not an 8-second silent gap.
Something went down, bro. Because while I was listening, it sounded like the pop, like something just went boom.
So you're saying the internet went out?
I think their internet ran out because I know that I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" Like, if sound like
My
you
internet
just
wasn't
dropped
out
me.
because I have a light here that actually shows me.
But I lost you. I'm not gonna lie, I lost you. Like, I didn't hear you.
You're saying you lost me on our Skype connection?
Yes. Like, I was like, I heard the Skype call like while you were talking. It was like, what's going bloop 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 bloop, and I'm like,
I didn't have anything on this end that said it
and
went
I was
out.
like, what's going on here? And then I started to hear you come back, and that's when I was like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And then you said that they went to break. So I was like, something must have happened because I know while you were talking, it sounded like a blip happened. It was like bloop, and like I can understand if you didn't hear any sound.
That's odd because nothing on this end showed a disconnect.
But
Not on the Comrex.
I would say this: they need to get you a better Wi-Fi because.
Hold on, what'd you say, Brian? No, it sounds like it was, according to Vlad, it sounds like it was on my end. Okay. Yeah.
You in California, so you might have been hit with a it's warm out there, isn't it? You might have been hit with a heat a surge or something.
Yeah, that's weird though. Usually when I lose any sort of connection, I have something that tells me.
Yeah, you lost connection and came back. It came back up like 8-10 seconds later.
And because I'm connected to the actual hard line. I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. That's weird.
Like the
My
rest of us
CNN never lost connection. Nothing. Come back.
All right. Well, this is my last segment anyway.
We continue on this Wednesday night edition of the show. Next hour, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis wants us all to believe that last season's problems were, they were a secret injury. So we'll get into that next hour of the show. Last night we talked about what athletes do when their careers are done. And we were talking about the case of Juan Martín Del Potro, former, top-ranked tennis player. But we were talking about in the context of Tom Brady and, guys that just don't have a plan for their life after sports. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm just saying in terms of a life plan. What are you going to do with your life? Sort of thing. The high school counselor question. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? That sort of thing. And apparently, LeBron James has a plan. It would not be the plan I would have ever expected to hear. We'll get to that. And how it ties into Live Golf, because I can bring it all together like nobody else. That's coming up in the next hour. We'll also do a midweek look at the lines because it's Wednesday. And if it's Wednesday, we like to start getting a peek ahead at the games that I likely should take on Sunday, but I'll talk myself out of them and wind up losing a bunch of games. I went 1-3 in Paige's picks last week. I was 6-3, so now I'm
7-6.
7-6.
Look at that. Nasty.
Yeah, just like that. Your fortunes can turn.
Take the over in the Cincinnati Dolphins game tomorrow.
Vlad says take the over in the Dolphins
Cincinnati
Bengals game tomorrow. Let me look at that real quick. Well, I got to look at that game while I have it in front of me here. NFL.
That line's been moving. It started at 2.5 Cincinnati. Now Cincinnati favored by 4.
on FanDuel, it's 3.5. Miami plus 3.5 and plus 152 on the money line. Cincinnati at minus 180 and the total at 47.5. Yeah. 47.5. Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. It's not a game I have a lot of confidence in.
That's a short week, and you got some explosive players on both sides of the team.
And you said you like Miami?
No, I like the over.
Oh, you like the over.
Miami
I'm sorry.
and Cincinnati.
47.5. Okay.
Yes.
So Vlad is on the board.
Put me on the board right now. Over. Take the over and the 47.5.
Over 4. Now, Vlad is telling you this, not Jason Page. This is Vlad.
Yeah, trust
telling
Vlad. Vlad is right.
47.5 is Vlad's pick. Over 47.5. I don't have one.
86.7% of the time.
86.7% of the time. It works all the time.
80 top. One
Exactly.
of the greatest lines ever, man.
Exactly. Well, we'll see. See how that plays out tomorrow. So we'll go through the lines in the next hour of the show. I also want to do this exercise of who we would pull from the Hall of Fame if we had the opportunity. Based on character.
Individual.
Oh, based on character.
No. Don't do that.
Not talking about pulling guys based on whether, Bill Mazeroski shouldn't have gotten into the Hall of Fame, that type of thing. Or Phil Rizzuto, guys who never had the numbers to get in, but somehow mysteriously got in thanks to the Veterans Committee. I'm talking about on character. If we were pulling guys out of character, because that's what's the argument being made right now about Brett Favre is he should be pulled from the Hall of Fame. Anyway, we'll do it in the next hour. Say goodbye to executive producer Vlad. He won't be with us for the next hour. We're back with another hour of the Cash In on this Wednesday night, Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. Stay with us.
Bye.
All right, man. Go get some sleep.
All right. That's a nasty. You don't want to. That's a nasty topic to touch, bro.
Oh, I love it.
Lawrence Taylor would be the number
I'm
one
what?
guy there.
I'm what?
Lawrence Taylor. You're a Giant fan, right?
Lawrence Taylor is definitely one that could. Well, the bigger question. No. I'm saying the topic is though, where would you draw the line? Is it murder?
It's not about drawing the, no.
Is it grand larceny? Like, at what point is a guy no longer worthy to be in the Hall of Fame? That's basically the gist of the topic.
It's not a point.
Yeah,
it's not a point because they don't look at your outside thing.
All right, final hour of this Wednesday/Thursday extravaganza. The cash in on Sports Map Radio and the Sports Map Radio app. If you're just getting out of a cave somewhere, maybe you were at work and couldn't have access to your phone. I mean, who wouldn't know by now? I mean, it's been 2.5 hours. But if you don't know, or if you didn't know, now you do.
First, and the payoff. There goes the deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 61. He ties Roger Maris for the American League single-season record with 61 home runs. It's a two-run Judgian blast. Here comes the Judge. A two-run blast, and the Yankees take a 5-3 lead on number 61 for Judge.
Wow. That was tonight. Aaron Judge, home run number 61 of this remarkable season. And he's still got time to get the all-time American League record, which would obviously be his next home run. But he did it tonight, and it was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing to watch when you consider, everything we've seen since 2003 in baseball. 59 home runs being the closest we've gotten to this number. That was in the National League with Giancarlo Stanton. And what Judge has been able to do this year in a season where his next closest home run rival is something like 20 home runs behind him. I mean, it's one of the great all-time seasons. There's just no getting around it. It is one of the great all-time single-season performances by anybody, Yankee or otherwise. And he's still in position to potentially win a Triple Crown. That was obviously the big story of the night in sports. But there's more to get to in this hour of the program, and we will do that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Anthony Davis has a reason why he didn't shoot the ball well last year. Are we buying it? Not really. We'll have a midweek look at the lines, too, as we continue on the cash-in. I'm Jason Page at Sports Map Radio. No worries. Thanks. Okay.
And the 3-2. Drilled deep to left field. And the
Thank you. Good song choice. The Cash In, Sports Map Radio app. This Coolio? I'm shocked at the news of his passing tonight. And that happened. Yeah, that happened just before we came on the air, too. Crazy. Yeah, Coolio. Gone way too young. And I don't know if anybody knows why or how or any of the details. Like I said, it literally happened just before we came back, just before we came on the air to start the show tonight. Aaron Judge hit his 61st home run about a half hour before the show started, and then the news of Coolio's passing. So kind of crazy. Speaking of that Judge home run, you heard the John Sterling call, courtesy of WFAN, the Yankees radio network. As we started the hour, this is what it sounded like on the Yes Network, and many people around the country saw it because every network of import in the sports world has been cutting into Yankee broadcasts since Judge was on the watch for 61. So this is what it sounded like.
And the 3-2. Drilled deep to left field. This could be it. See ya. He's done it. Number 61. He's been chasing history, and now he makes it. He and Roger Maris are tied with 61 home runs, the most anybody has ever hit in a single season in American League history.
Really cool. And you know what? Credit to the fans in Toronto. They recognized the moment. They rose to the moment. They gave Judge the ovation he deserved. It wasn't over the top. The celebration wasn't over the top. It was just right. So Aaron Judge now with a few games left to try and get to number 62 on the season. Try and break that Maris American League record. So I'm a big LeBron James fan. I won't apologize for that. Big fan, love everything he's done. You know, you can make the argument that any year where he plays enough games, he's an MVP. I mean, he's that special a talent still at this stage of his career. I loved watching him be able to win a title with the Lakers a couple of years ago, but it was a COVID title. I mean, let's be honest about it. You know, it was one in the bubble, and it was less than ideal circumstances. Everything lined up correctly, and the Lakers won a championship. Great. And Anthony Davis was part of that team, and he got himself a championship as a result. And he's one of these guys that, you know, when you look at his career, I think through however many years it's been now for Anthony Davis, it's been a disappointing career. No matter how you want to stack it up. The guy can't stay healthy. You know, he disappears at times in games. And I think he's a super talented player. I think he's a little too enamored with the jump shot for a guy that doesn't really shoot it particularly well. But think what you want of Anthony Davis. I don't think anybody could argue, statistically speaking, and kind of looking at the trajectory of his career, it's kind of been, you know, a bumpy road. It hasn't been one shot up, one shot down. It's just kind of floated over different bumps. That's been the trajectory of his career. Not any meteoric highs, not any ridiculous lows. Maybe last year was the closest to a ridiculous low. And the Lakers got Russell Westbrook, and we all know what a mess that was last year. And now the Lakers' idea is we're all healthy this year. We got Patrick Beverly. You know, we're a healthy team this year. We're gonna make our run this year. If we're healthy, we can make that run. That's the argument you're going to get from the Lakers faithful right now. And health has been the biggest hindrance to Anthony Davis. And in discussing last season and looking back, Anthony Davis is now telling everybody he played through a secret wrist injury. A lot of people don't know this, he said, but since January, I was battling a wrist injury. It was tough for me to shoot how I wanted to shoot. Said it feels great now. And the problem is, everybody likes to make excuses for Anthony Davis. Well, he was playing in New Orleans. They weren't very good. Well, now he's on the Lakers and, you know, he's injured and it's all injuries. Well, at some point, you got to stop making excuses for the guy. And you certainly can't, on the eve of the next NBA season or preseason or training camp or whatever you want to call this, you certainly can't trot out and say, well, I had a secret injury last year that none of you knew about. Because whether it's true or not, it sounds like you're looking for a scapegoat. If you had a wrist injury last year, why didn't anybody know about it? Why are you hiding it? So you wanted to go through the entire season with everybody taking a dump on you, essentially? But now you want to tell us it was a wrist injury? The logic doesn't make sense when you talk about Anthony Davis in that regard. If the Lakers are healthy, and look, it's not saying that he wasn't healthy or that he wasn't injured, but now to bring up, well, my shooting stunk because of the wrist injury. Well, that means anybody who's just had a bad shooting year can suddenly say, I had this injury. You didn't know about it. Not going to be able to show you anything that proves it, but you got to take my word for it. I had an injury. And this is what we've gotten from Anthony Davis' whole career. Excuses. Excuses from coaches, excuses from the media, excuses from him. There's always an excuse for Anthony Davis. And that's it. He's out of them now. Says he's healthy this year. I don't want to hear anything about secret injuries, anything like that. This is the last go-around for this group of Los Angeles Lakers as currently comprised. I don't care what the contracts say, how you're going to tell me Anthony Davis is a certain age. This is it. If they can't do anything with this roster this year, in some way, shape, or form, this thing is getting blown up. And it should. And as much as you might want to say, well, LeBron's getting a little older, LeBron will not be the reason the Lakers succeed, or I should say this, LeBron James will not be the reason the Lakers fail this season. It won't be because of LeBron that the Lakers fail. If this team fails, it will be because of the components around LeBron. It might be because LeBron is a little too trusting of these guys around him and still tries to set them up for success, and they simply can't pull the trigger or make the shots when LeBron puts them in position. But the reality is, it won't be LeBron that dictates whether or not this team fails. It's going to be the Russell Westbrooks. It's going to be the Anthony Davises of the world. But my God, I mean, in the next training camp, 6 months later, you're going to sit here and tell us that it was, or 5 months later, you're going to sit here and tell us there was a secret wrist injury that nobody knew about. And it might be true that he had a wrist injury. To what degree it hindered his shooting? And why nobody mentioned it, and now all of a sudden we're just hearing about it? And look, they are in a difficult conference. And there's a lot of good teams that are going to be gunning for their you-know-what every time. And because LeBron and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook are on that roster, you're getting everybody's best every night. It's almost as if you are defending champions because of that Laker uniform and because of the star power on that team. Teams are going to gun for them every night. 82 games of a target being on your back. And a lot of national exposure because LeBron's on your team and you're going to be on TV a lot. How will the Lakers stack up to it this season? Hopefully they stack up better than last season because the NBA is a lot more fun when the Lakers are good and when LeBron is playing meaningful games come a stretch run. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show if you want to, at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter, at the back page. We'll take a midweek look at the lines. What do we like? What don't we like? Got some injury reports out today, starting to get a sense for who may and may not play. We'll take a look at all of it as we continue on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page at Sports Map Radio. Thank you. Coolio did Gangster Paradise too, right? Yeah. You were in it? Oh, I thought you were saying you were in it. I was like, what? Wow. Ah, yes. Be right back. Continuing on this Wednesday. So I'm kind of intrigued by where we are middle of the week with the lines, and then where we are by the time we get to the end of the week in the NFL with the lines. And we did this exercise last week on the show, and doing it again this week, looking ahead at the lines for week number 4 in the NFL, which starts tomorrow night. Vlad and I have briefly talked about it at the end of last hour with the Dolphins and the Bengals leading things off. Miami plus 3.5 on the road in Cincinnati. They're plus 166 on the money line. So that literally just moved because it was 150 something as of 30 minutes ago. And then the total is 47.5. I agree with Vlad on this. Miami coming off of a really emotional, hard-fought game on Sunday, the short week, traveling to Cincinnati. Obviously the Bengals had a much easier time of it against the Jets. That game for the Dolphins and the Bills on Sunday was excruciating when you talk about some of the temperatures and the energy expended. And a lot of NFL players will tell you they're not even thinking about being ready to go again until Wednesday or Thursday. And then on Thursday, you got to play a game. This is the wrong week for this. I'm not going to make a pick on it because the Bengals have been so inconsistent. And even in their win against the Jets, there were some moments in that game where you kind of went, ugh, this team still hasn't put it together for 4 quarters. Is tomorrow the day they do it on a short week? Yes, they're back at home, but they're playing a good team. I do think it'll be close, though. I do think it'll be a close game. Vikings and the Saints in New Orleans. It's the Saints plus 2.5. And look, the Vikings have been, kind of difficult to figure out. That week 1 win against the Packers certainly caught everybody's attention. Then in week 2, they were not very good. Last week, they come from behind and get a win. And now they're on the road to take on a Saints team that hasn't looked good over the last couple of games either. And has struggled to score points on top of that. So again, not likely a game I would touch. Saints plus 2.5. The total is 43.5. Tennessee and Indianapolis. Do you believe the Colts just suddenly figured it out? That game-winning drive against the Chiefs? Getting some guys healthy? Are they even, a lot of people thought that was the best team in the division before the season started. We talked about it with Shireen Williams in the first hour of the show tonight. If you missed that conversation, you can catch it on the Cash In podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. But was that win and the way they did it late and coming from behind to beat Kansas City, is that enough to convince you that the Colts are fixed? The Titans played an inspiring game last week. Not a game, again, I hate to say it. I hate to sound like I'm kind of hedging a lot here, but it's not a game I have a strong feel for. Indianapolis -3, which basically means on a neutral field, the odds makers think it's a pick 'em. And the total 42.5. If anything, I'd probably lean towards the under in that game. Not a lot of confidence in these two offenses, both of which need to control the clock and run the football to be successful. That leads to a lot of long drives ending in field goals or less. Spells under to me. No line on the Bears and the Giants as of this moment. Could have something to do with some injuries. I'm waiting for some news on those. The Bills coming off that loss in Miami, and it doesn't get any easier for them this week taking on the Ravens. Should be plenty of fireworks in that game. And again, the odds makers basically look at it as a neutral field pick 'em because it's Baltimore +3 on their home field. And the Bills, look, they got thrown a tough one from the schedule maker with Miami and Baltimore in back-to-back weeks on the road. The total is 51. Feels like a lot of points, but I think both these teams can probably put those types of numbers up. I'd probably lean towards the over, if anything, in that game. Chargers and the Texans, and we all know the mess that the Chargers are right now with tons of injuries, but it's Houston. Even the Chargers banged up, no Joey Bosa. Maybe Keenan Allen will be back, but missing a whole bunch of guys, no Slayton. Can the Chargers figure out a way to just do enough to beat Houston to the tune of -5.5? I'd probably take it now because I think the line will go up as the week goes on. 5.5 feels like a nice number, even on the road in Houston. But can you keep Justin Herbert upright? Can you give him enough opportunities to make plays without having to run around and get hurt? Bang up those ribs? Heck, even with Chase Daniels, I'd like to think the Chargers could cover this line. I'd probably lean Chargers -5.5 if I was going to do anything on that game. Seahawks and the Lions with Seattle +4.5. 48.5 is the total. The Lions, one of the highest scoring teams in the league. They might even be the highest scoring team in the league through 3 games next to Jacksonville. Is this the week Detroit lands on the winning side? 48.5. I don't have a lot of confidence in Seattle to score points, though. You'd like to think one of these weeks they can, and Detroit's defense hasn't been all that good. Maybe this is the week. I'd probably lean towards Detroit minus the 4.5, if anything. Jets in Pittsburgh +3. They get Zach Wilson back this week. And look, there's no grace period for Zach Wilson. The Jets are 1-2. They cannot afford to go to 1-3. There is no grace period. It's not like the Steelers are going to say, you know what, it's your first game back. We're going to take it easy on you. Pittsburgh is only -3, though, and that just goes to tell you Vegas has no confidence right now in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zero confidence in the Steelers with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. Kenny Pickett's waiting behind him, but it doesn't sound like his opportunity's coming this week, even if Trubisky struggles. It's an interesting game. 41.5 is the total. If anything, I would probably look towards the under in that game. Jacksonville and Philadelphia is a fascinating watch to me. I think both of those teams are going to be fun to watch all season long. You got Doug Peterson going back to Philadelphia. You know those guys are going to play inspired football for him. I'd probably take the 6.5 and take Jacksonville. It's not that I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. It's that I really believe in what I've seen in Jacksonville over the first 3 weeks of the season. And I might even go with the over in that game at 46.5 right now. We'll see where it lands by the end of the week when we do Page's picks on Friday. But right now, Jacksonville +6.5, and I like the over at 46.5. Cleveland and Atlanta. The Falcons have been, competitive, if anything. Not winning football games, but they're competitive. Cleveland at -1.5 on the road in Atlanta. Again, a lot of these lines this week are 3 points or less. And Atlanta's been good. Not sure about Myles Garrett's availability yet for Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett on the road, not a guy that's going to make a lot of mistakes. Marcus Mariota might. More than likely a game I would stay away from. If anything, I'd go with the under 47.5. That seems a little high for both of those teams. Commanders and Cowboys, there is no line as of yet. Cardinals and Panthers, with Carolina at home -1.5. 42.5 is the total in that game. Arizona has been what you thought Arizona would be, which is kind of unpredictable. Carolina, Baker Mayfield. I got to be honest, I don't like either quarterback in this game. I probably wouldn't touch it. Let's move on. Denver and Las Vegas. Boy, the Raiders have been a cluster you-know-what so far this year. Denver finally figured out a way to move the ball and score some points on a drive late in that win on Sunday night against the 49ers. But is that the key that's going to unlock this offense? I don't believe so. 45.5 is the number. I'd probably go with the under. I'm not a fan of either team. And the Patriots and Packers in Green Bay, biggest line of the week, 9.5 for the Green Bay Packers in that game, minus 9.5. And I think they could actually cover it. Get to the Chiefs and Buccaneers on the other side. Talk a little bit about live golf and pickleball, too. I'm Jason Page. More to do on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Not particularly at the moment. You know what you can do? Let's just be on the safe side. Do the Marcus Semien segment. All right. $40 minutes past the hour. I just want to get in real quick on the Chiefs and Buccaneers this week. And look, I mean, where the game gets played matters. You know, whether it's at night, on a Sunday night, whatever. I mean, the difference between playing indoors in Minneapolis and outdoors in Tampa Bay, it's going to matter. And I think it's advantage Kansas City more so if the game is moved to Minneapolis. I don't think it's going to wind up that way. I do think the game winds up getting played in Tampa Bay, or in Tampa in this case. But right now it's the Buccaneers plus 1.5, and that's a lot of confidence to put in an offense that they can score enough to keep up with Kansas City when you consider Tampa Bay scored, 46 points, 49 points over 3 games this year? And it's an offense that just doesn't look like it's gelling at all. I got to be honest. I love Kansas City minus 1.5 on Sunday night. I don't care where they play the game. Play it in an airplane hangar if you want. Play it on a backyard ball field somewhere. Minus 1.5 for Kansas City feels like a gift the way Tampa Bay is playing. Again, we could talk about this all day, and we talked about it with Shireen Williams from Pro Football Talk earlier in the show. Not all 2-1s are created equal. I get that it's a league where it boils down to wins and losses and doesn't have to be pretty and there's no pictures on scorecards like you say in golf. All of that's great. But when you're talking about matching up with a Kansas City team that is going to put points up, even if Tampa Bay plays well defensively, Kansas City could put 21 on the board. Do you have confidence Tampa Bay is going to be able to score more than 21? You can play well defensively and Kansas City will put up 21 to 24. Are you telling me something's going to magically click where the Buccaneers put up that number? I certainly don't think so. I love Kansas City minus the 1.5 right now. Total is 45.5. I'm not sure where I am on that yet. We still got time to talk about Monday Night Football, so I won't even get into the Rams and 49ers yet, especially considering the mess that the 49ers have been here over the first few weeks between Trey Lance's play in week 1 and then the injury to Lance in week 2, Garoppolo winning on the fly, San Francisco at 1-2 on the season. Rams aren't playing particularly well regardless of what we think their pedigree is. I'm just not even touching that game yet. So in the first hour when we talked with Shireen Williams, at the very end of the conversation, we talked about this, I think, a very interesting topic regarding the Hall of Fame for Brett Favre. And there's some rumblings out there and people saying, hey, he should be yanked out of the Hall of Fame. He should be removed from the Hall of Fame. Which, as we mentioned in the interview, there is zero mechanism in place for the Pro Football Hall of Fame to remove somebody from its hallowed halls. There is no such mechanism in place to pull somebody out of the Hall of Fame. But it got me wondering about if we could. If we lived in this era where it was possible to remove people from the Hall of Fame, where would you start? Where would you draw the line if you could remove people from the Hall of Fame? Obviously, O.J. Simpson is one that a lot of people would point to. No, he wasn't convicted in a criminal court, but in a civil proceeding, he was found liable for the death of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. And certainly a lot of people would look at what transpired in those cases and say, if there's somebody that is unworthy of enshrinement or having that enshrinement reversed, it would be O.J. Simpson. But again, realizing there's no mechanism in place to do anything like this. What about Ty Cobb? Ty Cobb was a renowned racist. He was a man that once beat up a handicapped individual. And I'm not laughing in a ha-ha way. I'm laughing at the insanity of how we would treat somebody like Ty Cobb in today's society. But again, it's subjective. You know, is what Brett Favre did terrible? What's being alleged that he did terrible? Hasn't been convicted yet in a court of law. No charges have been brought against Brett Favre as of yet. But the evidence certainly doesn't look good. And what mechanism, you know, what would you do if he was convicted, let's just say, of this kind of robbery of the welfare system in Mississippi? Is that something that actually makes you unworthy of being in the Hall of Fame? Is that reason enough to pull the plug on his bust, smash into it a million pieces, and take it out of Canton? Where's the line? I mean, what is it? I think a lot of people would probably have an issue with that, with trying to figure out what you would do with somebody in that kind of situation. Isaiah Thomas brought disgrace on the New York Knicks organization. Don King stomped an employee to death. He's in the boxing Hall of Fame. Leo DeRocher did tons of things that would be considered unseemly. Where do you draw the line if you're somebody that has to be the grand poobah of who gets put into a Hall of Fame and then who gets taken out of a Hall of Fame? It's a very, I mean, as much as I think that what Brett Favre has done and the way he's conducted himself, and there's documentation to prove this, so this isn't alleged at this point, there's enough out there that I could say Brett Favre's not a good human being. He was a great football player, but he's not a great human being. But the Pro Football Hall of Fame isn't the hall of great human beings. It's the Hall of Fame. And it's fame for what you've done on the field. And as Shireen Williams pointed out, there's no citizenship clause in there. There isn't anything that says you had to be a great person. I guess, and as she also pointed out, if OJ is still in, how are they taking anybody out without him going first? Just something to think about. Last night on the show, I want to finish with this. Last night on the show, we talked about what athletes do when their careers are done. And how do you make life move on? How do you figure out a way to pick up the pieces after your playing days are done and find some purpose, something that's worthy of your getting up every morning? My business partners always tell me, you got to figure out what it is you want to do that's going to make you excited to get out of bed every morning. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. This gets me excited to get out of bed every morning. LeBron James and Maverick Carter's LRMR Ventures is headlining a new ownership group. They've bought a team. That's right. In Major League Pickleball. LeBron James now owns a Major League Pickleball team. Draymond Green and Kevin Love are also in on it. I can't imagine it cost them all that much, but who knows? And if for people who don't know, pickleball is like the biggest craze in the world right now. Fastest growing sport in the country. There's an idea that there's going to be 40 million pickleball players by 2030. Now, why is this of interest to me, you might ask? It got me thinking about the air we breathe and the air and the space and the oxygen in the sports world. And I got to thinking about this and Live Golf. Because if you didn't see the story this morning, Live Golf, and we talked about it last night on the show, is supposedly close to a deal with Fox Sports to air Live Golf events. Beginning probably next year. Maybe late this year, early next year. Now, I should say in all of this, Live Golf is denying that this deal is taking place, but the reports from the golf media are that not only is a deal done, but that Live Golf is actually going to pay Fox Sports for the airtime, and then they'll carry the Live Golf events. Everything will be produced and sold by Live Golf, so they'll have to go out and get their own sponsors, so on and so forth. Well, that's interesting, because Greg Norman told all of us that there were 4 networks vying for Live Golf to be on. Well, apparently nobody wants Live Golf. And Live Golf is so unwanted, they're going to actually have to pay Fox Sports to use the airtime. But let's just say, okay, for argument's sake, they can do it. They can go sell the advertising, yada, yada, yada. It pays for itself. Is there enough air? Is there enough oxygen in the room, so to speak, for all of these leagues? I mean, soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. You know how many people watch the MLS? Here, I'll show you on the, for those of you watching on video. I'm holding up a big 0. I mean, hardly anybody's watching MLS. It's a widely successful league. They do great attendance. But in terms of TV ratings, it does a big squadooch. It does nothing. It's hard enough to get people to watch golf other than 4 events out of the year. Now you're going to add a second golf league, and you think people are going to watch? Everybody's going to lose in that equation. Live Golf and the PGA Tour. And who's watching pickleball? Who's watching Major League Pickleball? A sport that grandma and grandpa living at Sun City in Palm Desert can play on any day of the week. Part of what makes sports great is watching feats of athleticism. And respectfully, and I'm not saying that's the same for every sport. Some people will say golf isn't a sport, bowling isn't a sport, yada, yada, yada. What makes sports great is athleticism. Pickleball does not require a ton of athleticism. I apologize. I've watched people play it. Doesn't require a ton of athleticism. Tennis? My God, go and watch those U.S. Open matches. Soccer? Watch them run up and down the field for 45 minutes at a time. I mean, I can go on and on. Well, baseball's not a sport. Go watch Aaron Judge for 162 games. You tell me that's not feats of athleticism. The NFL speaks for itself. NHL speaks for itself. NBA, it's ballet on a basketball court. It's beautiful. Pickleball? You think large numbers of people might play it? Doesn't mean large numbers of people are going to watch it. You got a thought? Hit me up on Twitter, at the back page. Again, on Twitter. Whether you agree or disagree, you can hit me up there at the back page. We'll come back, wrap things up. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for being with us. Wednesday edition of the Cash In on Sports Map Radio.
Do you expect Mac to start on Sunday for you guys?
Take it day by day. Brian's got a lot of experience. He's done everything.
Do you expect Mac to start on Sunday for you guys?
Bum, 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 bum. Don't forget, Thursday nights, we walk you through the second half of Thursday Night Football from the live betting perspective. Just keep us with you, and we'll keep you posted on the live betting. Everything going on in Thursday Night Football. That's tomorrow on the show. Favorite audio of the day other than Aaron Judge hitting home run number 62. This is Bill Belichick talking about his quarterback Mac Jones's health.
You expect Mac to start on Sunday for you guys?
Take it day by day. Brian's got a lot of experience. He's done everything that we would want to do. Mac be able to do it, with, I think, minimal practice if that was what it was. So just take it day by day. We're not really doing anything differently. Day by day, Phil. Day by day. That's the plan. Day by day. Day by day, it's getting better. See how it goes. Day by day.
Does he have a high ankle sprain?
Day by day.
He said it 11 times. Day by day. And by the way, before you tell me about Major League Pickleball, remember all the people that said esports is going to be the next big thing. People playing video games and that in arenas, and man, everybody's going to want to watch it. And while it still has its niche following, I don't see it on ABC. I don't see it on NBC. I don't see it on Fox. I don't see it on ESPN. God, I don't even know if it's on ESPN Plus. You wait, people are going to want to watch people playing video games for money. Yeah. Tell me how that worked out before you start telling me that Major League Pickleball is the next big thing. Like I said, people might play it for fun. Not buying into this idea that everybody's just going to go run and watch it on TV when there's a million other things to watch. We're back with you on Thursday night. Till then, I'm Jason Page. Catch you all back here tomorrow on Sports Map. Bye. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night. All right. Thanks. Pickleball. Give me a break. Pickleball. Who's watching pickleball? Major League Pickleball. Sorry, not buying it. Major League Pickleball. Even Dookie's not watching Major League Pickleball. Unless he can go chase it around. Then maybe he's watching it. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching on the stream. Thanks if you were listening on the radio. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have yourselves a great night. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you for the second half of the game and a fun show from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern on Thursday night. Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app, or wherever you're watching us right now. See ya.